For all of you that were around back when I started my channel, I made a ceiling shot tutorial video, and I sounded like this.
You should try to make sure the ball isn't bouncing, as it'll make...
Yep, for some reason I sounded like I was being forced to make content against my will, but I was actually really enjoying it, apparently. A little earlier in the year I made a 100 hours of ceiling shot video, which was definitely an improvement, but today I think I have a lot more to offer in that respect, and I want to revamp my old tutorial with everything I know now. So today I'm bringing you my ceiling shot tutorial with everything I know all in one place. Now, as always, I want to quickly point out that while this channel is full of information and that you should definitely subscribe if you haven't already, I do have a course over on Gamers Ready that takes you from bronze to grand champ and teaches you everything in between. We are looking at adding some more stuff in as well to go even further in depth, but if you are interested, head over using the link in the description and use the code Thanovic to get 20% off. I'm sure you've heard me sponsor myself enough times at this point, so let's get straight into talking about what is the ceiling shot and why it's useful. The ceiling shot is an aerial based mechanic that can turn into an almost unstoppable shot if pulled off properly. The ball goes into the air, your car's wheels make contact with the roof, and as long as you don't jump off the roof, by falling off you maintain your flip well after the 1.5 second limit, which means you can flip into the ball at any point. This means if you can get good at it, you can wait out your shot for as long as you want and flip whenever you want to make the shot insanely hard to stop. It's like the easy version of a flip reset. So, starting with you beginners, I'm gonna get through this as simply and quickly as I can. You want to head into free play and take the ball over to the wall. You need to get used to rolling the ball up the wall and following behind it by about half a second. You are gonna need to be a little bit behind it so you can hit the ball off the wall a decent amount. If you're right up close to it, the impact isn't going to get the ball moving towards the middle of the field and you're going to be stuck close to the wall. So, you need to get into the habit of doing this. Just rolling the ball up the wall over and over again, then just after the ball goes over this lip after the curve, you want to boost into it. Now, not getting enough speed at this point is going to give the ball no height, and giving too much speed is going to have the ball hitting the roof. Neither of these are good. You are looking for the perfect sweet spot in between. Now, this is done through trial and error, and unfortunately, because not every setup is going to be perfect, you're going to have to go through this a whole bunch of times to learn different speeds depending on where the ball is. Sometimes the ball isn't going to be in the perfect spot and it's going to be a little bit further up the wall, or you're not going to have as much room to work with. This is why trial and error is important. You want to get comfortable at different speeds depending on the height of the ball on the wall. I know some of you might be thinking, why don't I just use a custom training pack? But the main part about this, which is the difficult part, is the setup. And so getting this down as early as you can is going to be crucial for your understanding of the rest of the shot. So now that you've made connection with the ball on the wall and it's taking off towards the middle of the field, what do you do now? Well, you can either continue to drive up the wall, ending up on the ceiling and eventually falling off, or you can speed up this whole process by jumping off the wall, rotating your car so your wheels will make contact with the roof, and then landing on the roof cleanly. Now, a quick thing to note here. If you're flying up to the roof and you find that you're not going to land on the roof cleanly, or if your wheels are going to land sideways on the ceiling, you can hold the power slide button in order to cleanly land and fall off and not end up with something that looks like this. This is the part that kind of makes or breaks the whole thing. If you get a clean landing on the roof and the ball is sitting nice and high, then you have a lot you can do in this moment. Once your car leaves the roof, assuming you haven't jumped off and you've just let yourself fall, you will retain your flip for as long as you want. Now, for beginners, you're going to want to practice just getting underneath the ball and flipping through it. Nothing fancy, no rotations, just boost down under it a little bit, wait till you're kind of in line with the goal, and then flip into the ball. This, as you can see, will give the ball a burst of speed and send it towards net. Congrats, you've performed a basic ceiling shot. So, where do we go from here? Well, actually, this basic ceiling shot movement has a lot of variation to it and can be transformed into a lot of different shots. For example, if you find that you won't be able to get underneath the ball in time to flip into it, you can put your car over the ball and try to flip to hit it downwards. This gives a lot of power to the ball from above and can once again be very hard to save at times. The other options you can go for, which is quite a bit harder, is to turn this into a ground pinch. Now, this isn't something I've trained myself and it's not something I really know how to do 100% of the time, but if it's something that you can learn or you can get down, the power you can generate from these are insane. Really quick, a small tip I've learned since I've covered this in the past is that if you hold boost for a little bit longer on your way to the ceiling so that you hit the ceiling with a bit of force, you connect all 4 wheels and do a kind of soft bounce off the ceiling all in one go. This puts you already on your way back down behind the ball and gives you an easier time getting underneath the falling ball, which makes it easier to flip into it and make a solid connection. So now this is the portion of the video where we spend the last few minutes just talking about the more advanced stuff you can do with it once you understand the basic motion. So moving into some of the more advanced stuff you can do with it, we start with the easier side of the advanced stuff. If you get underneath the ball, after getting the reset on the ceiling, you can turn it into a sort of half air dribble. By taking a few touches on the ball and changing the direction, then changing it once again with the flip, you can close the distance to the goal and then add extra speed once you get close. Now the main problem with this kind of shot is that it's very high risk, high reward. This is a trend you're going to see with the more advanced shots. Because you're kind of air dribbling for the first half of the shot, you're going to need a decent amount of boost. If you miss this shot, you're left stuck near the opponent's net with no boost, so you should only really try to go for these kind of shots if you're comfortable with your aerial control and just want to change up your ceiling shots. So for the first shot, which is the ceiling shot air dribble thing, you got to make sure you get to the ceiling quickly so you can bounce off and get underneath the ball quickly. Maintain and feather your boost as you control the ball so that you have enough to not only reach the goal, but to also put you in a good position to shoot once you get there. The next kind of step up from this is to go for a ceiling shot into a musty flick. Now, this is the exact same setup as a normal ceiling shot, but your movement after leaving the ceiling is different. You turn and rotate your car, and then depending on how you normally do your musty flicks, you can pull your car backwards and have your car fully rotate, or you can tilt the nose downwards and then flip backwards into it. The positioning has to be pretty specific for this one, but a really easy way to hit this shot almost every time is to take a touch first and then tilt your car backwards and musty that way. Taking the touch puts the car in the perfect position for you to connect cleanly with the musty flip portion. This shot can get pretty difficult with the follow through for another reason though. Because the power from the shot comes with the flick, you have to line it up perfectly before you flip into it. If you're even the slightest bit off beforehand, you're going to either get no power or you're going to fling the ball completely the wrong way. So if you want to make sure of it, try to get that little touch beforehand. This is also a really big tip for what we're going to talk about now. The last shot and my favorite variation of the ceiling shot is the ceiling musty double touch. Firstly, this shot is exactly like the last one, but you have to start further back and you want to make the connection with the flip a little earlier on in the process. The earlier you flick, the more time you have to make your way towards the goal after the flick, which gives you an easier time reading the ball and judging its bounce off the wall. As for the more tutorial side for this section, it's a little difficult. The setup is already covered in the first section of the video, the flick was covered just now in the last section of the video. The only thing left to really go through is the double touch portion, and all I can really say for that is that the further back you start, the better. While I was learning it, I would start around the halfway mark and would find that I'm slamming the ball into the backboard without having any time to read it afterwards. Once I moved back to around this section here on the pitch, I had a much easier time giving it decent power but also getting in the position to make the second touch after the bounce. Overall, with all of these shots, once you get the basics down, you can allow yourself to get creative. With creativity comes a further understanding of the shot, and from there you're only going to improve. So, if you ever find yourself stuck with ceiling shots or struggling to nail some of the trickier things in the game, bring yourself back down to the basics. Work your way through the simple things step by step and then slowly build your way back up. This can help make a shot seem less daunting and can potentially help you to see if there are some of the basic steps you might be missing along the way. Now, this is the second beginner to advanced type video that I've done, and I was wondering if you guys wanted more. At first there was a way to revamp some of my old tutorials that I know I can do much better now, but it can also be a way to add a bit more depth to some of the more basics and see what kind of stuff you can do with basic mechanics once you want to get to the more advanced side of them. So if you guys enjoyed this kind of content, please let me know in the comments and we can see what kind of things we need to focus on next. But anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.